I stepped into the restaurant and instantly knew something was wrong. My parents' anniversary dinner was already finished, plates cleared, wine glasses sweating on the table, the kind of quiet that comes after money has been spent. My mom looked up and smiled, that soft smile she uses when she's about to ask for something. "Oh, you're late," she said lightly. Then, like it was a joke we'd all rehearsed, she added, "You don't mind covering the bill, right?" My sister laughed, not surprised, not embarrassed. And that's when I realized I wasn't there to celebrate. I was there to end something for good tonight. My name is Diana. I'm 30 years old, and for most of my life, my family has described me with one word: easy. Easy to deal with, easy to rely on, easy to ask for favors. They never meant it as a compliment. On paper, my family looks solid. Married parents who love hosting dinners, a younger sister who's always smiling in photos, holiday cards that arrive right on time every year. If you met us at a table, you'd think we were close. Warm. Normal. But closeness isn't measured by how often you sit together. It's measured by who's allowed to take up space. Growing up, my sister Tiffany took up all of it. Her opinions mattered. Her moods set the tone. If she wanted something, the room bent around her. I learned early that being quiet made life smoother. Being low maintenance earned approval. When I didn't ask for things, my mom would pat my arm and say, "See, Diana understands." Understanding became my role. By my mid-20s, that role came with invoices. Not official ones, just subtle expectations. I covered small things at first: groceries, utilities, a short trip that somehow ran over budget. Every time it was framed as temporary. Every time it quietly became permanent. I never announced my career to my family. I didn't lie exactly. I just didn't correct them when they assumed I worked somewhere modest. Something safe. Something that explained why I dressed simply and didn't talk about numbers. Letting them underestimate me kept the peace. It also kept the requests flowing.
I love it,
My
dude.
parents liked celebrating
You want, you come
milestones,
play my
anniversaries, birthdays, promotions that
Absolutely
weren't
stand
really
up.
promotions. They liked places that felt impressive, places where staff recognized them, where menus didn't list prices. And somehow, I was always called last,
I got a
after
pretty sweet
reservations were
castle
made,
going right
after
now.
decisions were final. I told myself it was coincidence, timing, that familiar
It's
lie
this.
you repeat until it feels like truth. The night of their anniversary, I arrived straight from work, tired but willing. I brought a small gift,
How you been?
thoughtful, personal, something that said I showed up even if I was late. But as I stood there looking at empty plates and relaxed
worth
smiles,
every drop
I
of the
felt that old
$21
tightening
shit
in my
costs.
chest. The one that whispered,
Is
"You
way
already
good.
know how this ends." I watched my mother's eyes flick briefly to the check folder, watched my father lean back satisfied, watched my sister scroll on her phone completely unbothered. They weren't waiting for me to join them. They were waiting for me to perform. And for the first time, instead of shrinking into that familiar role, I wondered what would happen if I didn't play it anymore. I slid into
They
the chair
literally
they'd left
just
for me,
installed some
the
new
only
mods,
one
like,
without a
not
jacket
even
draped
10
over
minutes
the
ago.
back. The table still
We're
smelled
seeing
like
what
butter
they're
and
about.
wine, rich and finished.
Hopefully makes-
My
so
mom
there-
reached
there's
for
a
her water
one-
glass and sighed the
only
way
flaw
people
that you
do
can
when a
really
performance has
on
wrapped
the game is that
successfully.
it's not done yet.
"You should have been here
'Cause there's
earlier,"
so
she
much
said, not
stuff in
accusing, just
creative
stating
mode
a fact.
you just don't
The
have
service was
access to.
amazing. My dad nodded
Um,
already, loosening his collar.
But
"You
when
missed the
you
best part."
install the-
Tiffany
the
didn't
right
even look
kind
up
of
from her
mods,
phone.
the game gets a
"We
lot
saved you
better.
dessert," she
A
said,
shit ton
then
better.
laughed softly. "Well, sort of." A server approached with the leather check folder and placed it neatly in the center of the table. No one touched it. No one needed to.
So
It
let
just
me
sat there
give you a
waiting.
little- so you can't
For me?
tame animals.
My mom tilted
I
her
use
head again.
creative to put
"You
those
don't
guys
mind
in there.
taking care of this, right? We figured since you're working so
Farming's
much
pretty
lately."
dang good.
She let the
Water
sentence
is a
trail off
finite
like
resource,
generosity was
so,
implied, like this was a shared understanding
When you
between
put water
adults.
down, if you use a bucket
Tiffany
on it,
finally
that- like
looked
that-
up her
a
eyes,
little bit of that
flicking from
water
the
is
check
gone
to my
forever.
face.
I did right here.
"Relax," she
So,
said. "You're
um,
always good at handling
oh,
stuff like this."
punk-ass bitch.
Then she smiled, amused, still clueless as ever. That word landed harder than I expected.
Building is
I glanced
way,
around the
way
table.
better than
My dad
Minecraft.
avoided my eyes.
Way
My
better.
mom's
I
smile
mean,
didn't
with
move.
mods, Minecraft's
Tiffany
probably
had
pretty good,
already
but
gone back
look
to her
what you can do
screen,
with the roofs.
and suddenly
Like, look at
something
this.
shifted. Not
This
anger,
is
not yet.
crazy.
just clarity. I
And then,
replayed the past year in my head. the last-minute
Yeah,
dinner
the trees
invites,
are pretty
the
awesome.
texts that always came after reservations were
I
made.
like the farming.
The way I
but,
was
like,
never
kinda
asked what worked
spend
for
most
me,
of my time
only
doing
informed.
that.
I thought about how tonight's invite had come with no time, just a place. "We're already here," my mom had said. "Join us when you can." When you can. I
But
looked at the plates
animals,
again,
there's no
completely
animal husbandry
clean,
yet, so,
no crumbs, no
all
hesitation.
those punk-ass
They
bitches
hadn't
killed one
been
of my
waiting
sheep.
for me to eat.
I
They'd been
put
waiting for me to
those in there
arrive.
with creative.
I realized then that this wasn't about celebration, or
The
family,
NPCs are,
or
like,
even
it's
money.
pretty good
It was
in
about
base game,
certainty.
and then I
They
added
were
a bunch
certain I
more
would show
stuff,
up,
like,
certain I would pay,
a lot of
certain I
hostile
wouldn't make it
enemies.
uncomfortable. That certainty had taken years to build
you can
layer
get
by
some
layer
pretty
every
big
time I
builds.
stayed quiet to keep things smooth.
And
The
they
check folder
work
felt
pretty
heavier
good.
just
Like, this
sitting
is my
there.
castle.
I reached for my glass, took a
Right
slow sip
here
of
that I
water,
made.
and said nothing. I didn't argue.
So
I didn't
you see, like, it
explain. I
goes
didn't
pretty
defend
far up there.
myself.
It's got a little,
Because in that moment, I understood something I'd been
little,
avoiding for a
courtyard.
long time. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a system. And systems don't break from conversations. They break when someone stops
Pretty cool.
feeding them. I paid the bill that night, not because I felt
The
obligated
weapons,
and
so
not
a
because
lot
I
of the
was afraid.
weapons
I paid
not
because
really
I
in the
needed
game yet,
one
so
last clean
you
data
have
point.
to either
One
just
final
deal with
confirmation
the
that I
weapons
wasn't
that are
imagining the
in
pattern.
game,
On
or
the
use a
drive
mod
home, the city
that
lights blurred
adds
past
them
my
to the game.
windshield. My phone buzzed once. A
Yeah,
text from my
It
mom.
took me about a day
"Thank
and
you
a
for
half,
handling that.
but probably
We
like
knew
10
we could
hours
count
to
on
make
you."
this place.
No heart emoji, no warmth, just relief. Like a task had been completed. At home, the silence felt
2
different.
days of prep
Not heavy.
Don't come
Focused.
down here.
I
Do
set
not
my
come
keys
here.
down, kicked off my shoes, and opened my laptop.
2 days
The
of
screen
prep
glowed
to
against the dark
gather
room, steady
materials
and
for this.
honest. I didn't open my work files. I opened the folder I never
This down
liked
here is
touching.
kinda shit.
The one I'd been adding to for years without naming it out loud. Payments, bills, transfers, support.
Stop.
Each entry was small on
No,
its own,
go away.
reasonable, defensible. Together, they told a very different story. I scrolled slowly.
But
Dinner
I've been working
after
on,
dinner, travel expenses, emergency
working on my
loans
farm
that were never
for a little bit
repaid,
here.
utilities I'd been covering without being asked anymore. It wasn't generosity, it was infrastructure. I leaned back in my chair and let the numbers settle. The total wasn't what shocked me. It was the timeline, how early it started, how
We made
quietly
this
it grew,
place, a
how
couple days
naturally
ago.
everyone adjusted their lives
Got,
around
like,
it.
fish tank under it
Caleb
with
came into the
sharks and
room
stuff.
holding 2 mugs of coffee. He didn't ask what I was doing. He never did. He just set one beside me and waited. "They didn't even pretend tonight," I said. He nodded. "They didn't have to." I told him what Tiffany had said. The laugh, the word clueless. Caleb's jaw tightened, but his voice stayed calm.
A lot of really
That's
cool
what
things
people
to get.
say
Like,
when they
the
think you'll never
potential here is
stop.
through the roof.
I stared at the screen
It's gonna be
again,
good.
at the lines that
It
had
really,
once
really
felt
good.
like kindness and now read like obligation. "This ends," I said. Not angrily, clearly. Caleb didn't argue. He didn't cheer. He just asked one question. "Do you want to talk to someone before you do?" I already knew who. My attorney. The one who handled my financial boundaries, not my emotions. I closed the laptop finally. Not because I was done, because the plan was forming. I wasn't going to confront them. I wasn't going to announce anything, and I
just
wasn't going
added
to make
this,
it
so I don't really
dramatic.
know
I was going to stop participating, and
what
the
I'm looking
moment
at
I
here.
did, I knew the
Stop.
collapse wouldn't be loud. It would be immediate. I didn't announce anything to my family. I didn't send a long message. I didn't hint. I let routine do what it always did, carry them forward under the assumption that I would show up and clean up afterward. 2 weeks later, my mom texted me about dinner. Same restaurant, same tone, anniversary makeup. We should all be together. No question mark, no time. Just a place.
Where do you get
I
tempered
said
wood
yes.
essence from?
When I arrived that night, nothing had changed. The lighting was warm. The hostess smiled like she remembered us. My parents were already seated. Tiffany was mid-story, waving her hands dramatically while her boyfriend nodded like everything she
best-
said was fascinating. They
The
didn't
best
stop
mod
talking when
that
I sat
highly
down.
recommend it
My mom
is-
reached for my arm briefly.
As far as I know,
"There
it
you
is,
are," she said. "We went
um,
ahead and ordered. You know how long menus take." I
we haven't had
smiled.
any- this
Not
is me, one of
tight,
the person
not
playing
fake.
here.
Calm.
But
Dinner
we haven't had
unfolded
any
the same way
issues
it
really
always did.
multiplayer.
Plates rotated in and out. Bottles
know how
appeared without
servers
anyone
are.
asking about price.
Don't know anything about
My
that.
dad laughed louder after his second drink. Tiffany checked her phone between bites, occasionally angling it just right for photos. No one asked what I wanted. I noticed everything. The way my mom leaned back satisfied. The way my dad didn't even glance at the menu. The way Tiffany ordered something to share and slid the plate closer to herself. It was choreography, perfectly rehearsed. Halfway through the meal, my mom said casually, "Oh, did you ever hear back about that other thing?" I knew what she meant. Another expense. Another assumption. "Not yet," I said. She nodded, unconcerned. "Well, we'll talk later." Later. That word used to make my stomach tighten. Tonight, it didn't. When dessert plates arrived, I caught the server's eye and nodded slightly. She hesitated, then placed the check folder at the edge of the table. Same place. Same silence. No one moved. My mom glanced at it, then at me. "Whenever you're ready," she said gently. I didn't reach for it. Instead, I stood up. "I'm going to grab the manager for a moment," I said. The table froze. Tiffany blinked. "Why, I have a question," I said, still calm. The manager came over quickly, polite, professional. I lowered my voice just enough that the table couldn't hear everything, but enough that they knew something was happening. "Hi," I said. "I just wanted to confirm something about the account arrangements tied to this table." The manager nodded and checked his tablet. His expression shifted slightly. Not alarmed, just attentive. "Yes," he said. "It looks like previous authorizations are no longer active." My mom sat up straighter. "What does that mean?" The manager glanced between us. "It means we'll need a payment method from the party tonight." Silence landed hard. My dad cleared his throat. "There's usually no issue." "I understand," the manager said kindly. "But tonight, there's no account on file." My mom looked at me, really looked. Her smile faded. "Diana." I met her gaze. "I won't be covering dinner tonight." Tiffany laughed once, sharp and disbelieving. "Okay, very funny." "I'm serious," I said. My dad frowned. "What's going on?" I sat back down, folded my hands in my lap. "What's going on is that I've been paying for more than meals for a long time, and I'm done." My mom's voice dropped. "You're doing this here. I'm not doing anything I said. I'm just not doing what you expected." Tiffany scoffed. "So you're just going to embarrass us?" I looked at her. "You weren't embarrassed when you laughed at me last time." Her mouth opened, then closed. My dad leaned forward. "This is family. You don't just stop helping without talking about it." "I've been talking," I said. "You just didn't listen." The manager shifted uncomfortably. I turned to him. "We'll need separate checks." My mom inhaled sharply. "Separate, yes," I said. "Mine and yours." The manager nodded and stepped away. My mom's face flushed. "You can't do this." "I can," I said. "And I am." Tiffany pushed her chair back. "This is unbelievable. After everything we've done for you." I almost laughed, not out of cruelty, out of clarity. "What you've done," I said slowly, "is teach me that love comes with an invoice, and I don't accept that anymore." My dad shook his head. "You think you're teaching us a lesson?" "No," I said. "I'm teaching myself one." The checks came back. One slim folder, one thick stack. My mom stared at it like it was written in another language. "I don't have my card," she said automatically. "I know," I said. Tiffany whispered something to her boyfriend. He stood up awkwardly. I need to take this call," he muttered already, walking away. My mom's hands trembled as she opened her purse. My dad reached for his wallet and hesitated. For the first time, they looked unsure, not angry, not indignant, unprepared. The manager waited patiently. My mom looked up at me, eyes sharp now. "You're enjoying this?" "I'm not," I said honestly. "I'm finished." She searched my face for guilt, for softness, for the daughter who would fix it. She didn't find her. They paid, slowly, uncomfortably, with questions they didn't like the answers to. I paid my share and stood up. As I walked away, my mom said my name, not sharply, not sweetly, just uncertain. I didn't turn around. Outside, the air felt cooler, lighter. I knew this wasn't the end. I knew phones would ring, messages would come, accusations would fly, But the system had broken, and once that happens, nothing ever works the same again. The fallout didn't come all at once. It arrived in waves, short texts, missed calls, messages that started polite and ended sharp. I didn't respond to any of them, not out of spite, out of certainty. Without my quiet support, things shifted fast. Dinners got smaller. Plans were suddenly postponed. The confidence my parents wore so easily began to crack, not dramatically, just enough to notice. Tiffany stopped posting photos from places that required reservations. Her boyfriend disappeared from family conversations entirely. No one apologized. I didn't expect them to. What surprised me was how little guilt I felt. I had imagined this moment for years, thinking it would hurt more, that I would mourn something. Instead, I felt steady.
It's not hard.
Like I'd finally set down a weight I'd been carrying without realizing how heavy it was. At home, life felt quieter in a good way. Caleb and I ate dinner without rushing. We talked about work, about plans that didn't involve anyone else's expectations. For the first time, my time felt like it belonged to me. I didn't cut my family off. I just stopped cushioning their lives. I stopped smoothing edges and paying over consequences. If they reached out, I answered honestly. If they asked for help, I said no without explaining. And something strange happened. The world didn't collapse. I didn't become cruel. I became clear. The restaurant incident faded into memory, but the lesson didn't. Boundaries aren't walls. They're doors you choose when to open. And once you close one that's been draining you for years, the silence on the other side isn't loneliness. It's peace. If you've ever been the one who always shows up, always pays, always fixes what no one else wants to face, I want you to hear this. You're not selfish for stopping. You're not cruel for choosing yourself. You're allowed to set boundaries even with family. If this story felt familiar, share your thoughts in the comments. And subscribe so you don't miss the next one.